Okay, welcome back to the channel. And today what I want to discuss is the ISAK versus EKITIKE debate. Now, I'm going to go straight into it and say that EKITIKE has surprised me, and pleasantly so, because I knew already that he was a good player. He's a skillful player. He can do things with the ball and hold off players and all that. But what has surprised me about EKITIKE is his ability to adapt to a bigger team. Having played for Frankfurt in the Bundesliga, which is not necessarily a big team, the expectations at such a club is not as huge as what he has to deal with at Liverpool. So he's really done well in terms of adapting to that expectation levels. And he looks like a player who is not faced by anything. He looks like a very confident footballer. He just plays his football and enjoys the game. And I hope that it is not just the first season syndrome like we had with Luis Diaz, because Luis Diaz came in January to Liverpool. I think it was January 2021 or January 2022 rather, Luis Diaz. And his performances from that January to the end of the season was absolutely second to none. He was explosive. He was scoring goals. He was exciting to watch. Everything you wanted to see about a Liverpool winger you saw in Luis Diaz. But the following season, where he started his first full season, he had injuries. He was very inconsistent. Even when he wasn't injured, the performances weren't good enough. And that was a season where Liverpool finished fifth. We failed to qualify for the Champions League and we ended up in the Europa League. In that season, when we were playing the Europa League too, his performances were very inconsistent. He wasn't consistent at all. And that was the last season for Jurgen Klopp, where he announced that he was going to leave at the end of the season. So it was not until Slot came in last season where we started to see the Luis Diaz we saw in his first season when he came in January. So I hope, sorry for digressing, but I hope that this form that EKITIKE has picked is not something similar to what we saw from Luis Diaz from his first season. He looked very confident. He was unfazed. He didn't care about anything. He just played football. I hope that EKITIKE's form is not similar to that. And we are going to see him improve season upon season. Because if he does that, then he's going to be one of the best Liverpool strikers we've seen in the last few years. He reminds me a lot, Hugo EKITIKE, of Luis Suarez. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that he plays like Luis Suarez or he's at the level that Luis Suarez got to when he played for Liverpool and also moved to Barcelona. I'm not comparing him to Luis Suarez in terms of their footballing ability or their playing style. What I'm saying is that he reminds me of how Luis Suarez started at Liverpool. Immediately he came in, Luis Suarez also came in January. And immediately he came in, you could see that he's an exceptional player. He didn't care about the pressure. He didn't care about the expectations or anything like that. He just went in there and just played his game. He just played his game every single time. And that is what I'm seeing from EKITIKE. And I think that is the reason why he's been so far the most exceptional Liverpool signing that we've seen, with 7 goals already in the Premier League. And I think about 11 goals in all competitions. So hopefully he continues that. Now, what does this mean for ISAK? Obviously, we all know that ISAK hasn't performed well. He's only got 1 goal in the Premier League. His performances hasn't given us any hope that it is going to get better very soon. And I think the issue with ISAK is not just his fitness or his lack of preseason during the summer. I think he is also having to adjust his mentality to the expectations that Liverpool demand from him. And he hasn't been able to do that, because when he comes on into games, you could see that he's a bit sluggish, he's a bit hesitant in the things he's doing. The players don't trust in him necessarily. They don't give him the ball when he makes the runs. He's not getting himself into the game if he's not getting touches enough. He just wants the game to come to him. And I think sometimes certain players take time to get used to their teammates. They take time to feel free, relax, and play their game. Isak is not doing that at the moment. I don't see him playing like a player who is free, who is carefree, who doesn't have any shackles on him. He's playing as if he's under pressure. Maybe because of his price tag, maybe because of the saga that went on during or before his move from Newcastle to Liverpool went through. Maybe he's still dealing with some of the psychological pressures that he had to deal with during that time, not training with his teammates and being away from his usual environment, basically. So maybe he's still dealing with that and he has to deal with that. So it's all mental. It is both mental and also the lack of preseason. At this point in time, we can't keep saying that it is due to his fitness alone, due to his lack of preseason alone. I think it has something to do with mentality as well. He hasn't really gelled very well with the team. And a lot of people have called into question why we went in to buy ISAK as well after buying EKITIKE. And I think all that talk and all that panditry is a bit of one lazy panditry, and it also comes from revisionism, second guessing, hindsight analysis, because at the time nobody was saying that. When Liverpool were going in for ISAK, I think it was only Jamie Carragher who came out to say that we don't need to buy Alexander Isak. He would prefer we spend the money on a defensive midfielder and a defender. And rightly so, that is his opinion. For me, I always thought that we needed a second top striker. We couldn't rely on EKITIKE alone. And that is what Liverpool did. So I'm happy Liverpool did that. And I still believe that it was the best decision. And it still is the best decision that Liverpool took. Now, the question is, what does EKITIKE's good form mean for ISAK? Does it mean that he's going to start ahead of ISAK in all games? And for me, I think that is the wrong question to ask. And the reason is that Liverpool is a top club that competes for multiple trophies. We compete on multiple fronts. And the other issue is also that this Liverpool team needs to be unpredictable. We need to be we can't play a system where it is always 4-3-3 or it is always 4-2-3-1. At times we need to play a 4-4-2. We need to give opposition managers something to think about. So there are games where I expect that we are going to start both ISAK and EKITIKE, but also there are games where we play EKITIKE ahead of ISAK. ISAK comes in from the bench, maybe in a midweek game, but in the weekend game, ISAK starts, EKITIKE comes from the bench, and we keep chopping and changing like that. We play them together at times, we play them one at a time sometimes. And I think that is the best way to go. I also believe that it is a reason why we went in to buy ISAK and EKITIKE and also Florian Wirtz. We wanted to have options. We wanted to be dynamic in terms of how we attack. So it shouldn't be the same from game to game. It shouldn't be the same. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same. And if people try to say that, does it mean that who is your first choice? Why should we have a first choice? There is no rule anywhere which says that every single team should have a first choice striker. There is no single rule that says that. There are teams that have won Champions Leagues, Premier League titles without a recognized out-and-out striker. Pep Guardiola has done it for a number of seasons. Luis Enrique did it last season in the Champions League without a recognized out-and-out number 9. Sometimes he played Dembele, sometimes he played that Portuguese guy, I've forgotten his name. So we don't necessarily have to say this is our first choice number 9, this is our second choice number 9. There's no point in doing, and I don't think that is what Slot wants to do. He doesn't want to get into that debate of this is my first choice and this is my second choice. He wants a scenario where anyone he plays is going to give him the output that he needs based on the opposition, based on the game state, and also based on the type of competition that Liverpool are playing. So I don't really get why we are trying to make it a zero-sum game. If EKITIKE is doing well and ISAK is not doing well, then it means that there's a problem. There's pressure on the coach. I don't really see it like that. There is pressure on ISAK to deliver, because if his performances stays like it is right now, then Liverpool will be forced to sell him and cut their losses. But as to whether the manager is under pressure to play ISAK because of his price tag, I don't believe so. Liverpool bought a player, they made an investment. The player came in without preseason training, and the coach has a job to do to get him to full fitness, and that is what he's doing. I don't really see it as pressure in terms of trying to get him to play ahead of EKITIKE or trying to play some sort of favoritism card. I don't see it like that. I actually think that it is just a matter of trying to get everybody up to speed. The other reason is also that you can't keep playing the same striker in all games throughout the season, even throughout a 2-week stretch. If Liverpool have games every 3 days, you can't tell me that because EKITIKE is doing well, he has to start a game at the weekend, play on Wednesday, play the next weekend, play on Tuesday, play the next weekend. It doesn't work like that. He's going to break down. He's going to get injured. So there is no world in which because you have an informed striker, you play him every single time and you start him every single game. It doesn't work like that. So I think we should put some perspective on what is happening. EKITIKE has done well. He surprised a lot of us. Pleasantly so. ISAK hasn't gotten up to speed, but we all know the kind of striker he is, the quality that he has. And I would argue also that during his time at Real Sociedad, it took him a while to get to the levels where he got to before Newcastle brought him in. At Newcastle, it took him a couple of seasons before he got up to speed, before we all saw the quality that he has. And at Liverpool, even though he's moving to Liverpool from Newcastle, from a Premier League team, and so you might argue that he's already used to the Premier League, so why does he need time? He was purchased for 125 million. Sorry, that is all understandable. He was purchased for a big money, and also he's coming from a Premier League rival. And so we expect that normally he would hit the ground running. He hasn't. That is the truth of the matter. He hasn't hit the ground running. But that is not the end of the world. He signed a 5-year contract. He is 26 years. And so he is still within 2 to 3 years of his peak. So I really don't see any reason for panic or any reason for criticism. Rival fans are always quick to write people off because they know that if they don't write people off and they get to the levels where they are expected to get to, it is over for them. So rival fans will always be quick to write ISAK off. And that is okay. That is what they want to do. But Liverpool fans, we believe that ISAK is going to come good. And if he comes good, it is over for you, rival fans. All right. So that is what I think. Thank you for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed watching, and also subscribe if you are new here. Don't forget to comment down below. Let me know your thoughts about this ISAK and EKITIKE debate. See you. You never walk alone.